Welcome to Pep Talk and Pickleball, the podcast where we explore empty nest life, health, fitness, and nutrition, all with a side of pickleball fun. I'm your host, Jill Lewis, your guide through this exciting phase of life. As a certified faster way to fat loss coach and fellow empty nester, I'm here to share insights, interview experts, and yes, sprinkle in some pickleball talk. Join me for weekly doses of motivation and laughter as we navigate health, happiness, and pickleball passion. Grab your paddle, join the conversation, and let's dive into Pep Talk and Pickleball. Welcome back to Pep Talk and Pickleball. This is your host, Jill Lewis. I'm thrilled that you're joining me today, and we're going to keep things really light today. I thought it would just be a great opportunity to give you an update on what's been going on in my life. And what's been going on is just a lot. You think about the month of May as an empty nester, that it's not going to be that crazy month that it was when your kids were in school. But I got to tell you, it's still a month of transition. My kids still needed me, and there was still just a lot happening. So I helped two of my kids move, both of them, ironically, in the state of Texas. So my daughter has a summer internship in Austin, Texas. She's super excited about. That was a very easy move, other than just helping her drive down there. And then my husband and I helped her drive down in her car. It was about a 12-hour drive. And then we flew back. So that was pretty easy. And then my son, earlier in the month, I helped him move. He was actually in Austin. And then, 3 weeks before my daughter moves to Austin, he moves to South Dallas. So she was a little bummed about that. But, when the job calls, you got to go with the job. So he has a new job that he's really excited about. He'll be in the South Dallas area till about, I think, January. He's going to be moving to Washington, D.C. with his job. So we're excited for him and all his opportunities. And of course, I'm so excited about my daughter and her opportunities with her internship. It's just so wild to me how different times are now. When I was in school, I was in college in the early to mid 90s. And I mean, if people were doing internships, I know, okay, I definitely had a couple of internships, but they were nothing like what my kids are doing. One of my internships was with the Chamber of Commerce in my town. And I honestly think that the woman that I worked for, and plus I was working for free. Okay. This was an unpaid internship. And the director of the chamber at the time, she was like this chain smoker. She was outside all the time with her smoke breaks. And she was she was difficult to work for, put it that way. But it's fine. I definitely learned some things there. And then I had another internship that was a speaking internship this is up in South Bend, Indiana. This is so funny that I did this. It was for the Area Agency on Aging up in Northern Indiana. And I traveled around to grade schools giving like assemblies, programs on the elderly. And sometimes I would have like a local volunteer, somebody that was, maybe 80 something years old, or maybe they were 70. I don't know. But sometimes I would have someone like that come along. And then sometimes it was just me. And I would just talk about the aging process and getting older and grandparents. And I would love to have the notes from my speech, but I got really good grade in that. In fact, I got honors in that internship. I think it was probably just because I showed up, and I drove all over the, Northern Indiana doing that. So wild to think back on what you did. Again, both of those were unpaid internships, and my daughter's is a paid internship, but one of her friends has an internship in New York City that's an unpaid internship right now. How is that even a thing anymore? Like, can we not at least give these kids $10 an hour or something, anything, a stipend of some kind? Because, New York is so expensive. I'm thinking, internships are great. They're a wonderful learning opportunity. I'm all for them. But I do think this is something that we have to think about our privilege when it comes to, if you're financially able to allow, help your child live in a city, move away, like with what we're doing with Ava and what her friend is doing. You have to have some, be able to afford to live there and feed yourself there and, all of those things, travel. that not everybody can do that. And, those kids definitely, like my kids included, and they have a leg up because they were able to have these internships, not to mention just the connections, that parents can have with other people that are kind of high up in business. So it's definitely interesting. It gets me thinking for sure about how these internships work. And anyway, that's off on a whole other tangent, but she is going to be learning a lot. She's an apparel merchandise major, and she has worked in boutique settings. She's been in, sales, retail sales that way. She has worked for the university she goes to Auburn. So she's got the Auburn closet where they help kids that have interviews on campus. If they need professional wear, they can go to the Auburn closet. And so she can help the kids with that and get their appointments set up. So that's a job she's at. And she's worked at the golf course down in Auburn where she's working in the pro shop. So, or out on the cart. And I mean, she just said, I've never been in such a professional atmosphere that she is in her current job right now. And so her internship now. So it's definitely a great experience. The thing that makes me so nervous though, is her driving every day. She's got about probably a 30-minute commute in heavy traffic. And again, we're from the sticks, we don't have that much we don't have that type of traffic here. So she's getting a real education, so to speak. And then my son, he was getting ready to move. This was in early May. And I said, well, how are you going to get, he told me to rent a U-Haul truck. And I'm like, well, how are you going to move your car? And he's like, yeah, I don't really know. I got to figure all that out. And I said, do you need help? Do you want me to help you? Oh, you would? I'm like, well, of course, that's what moms do. Of course we will. Of course I'll go down there. So I flew down there and helped him out. And man, that got me thinking about like when your kids get, both of my sons are completely financially independent, which is amazing. They're 25 and 26. They are like down to the cell phone bill. Like they pay for everything themselves. Now they are super different types of kids, but when it comes to cleanliness, let's just say that this one isn't the best. And I got to his apartment, thought, let's just start packing it up and moving, which was hilarious. We had the best time because you don't just get that much one-on-one time with your adult children. And I start cleaning and I'm looking at his toaster. Looked like it was a toaster I think he had inherited from a friend that looked like it had been around for 20 years, that had never been emptied of any bread at all, like all the crumbs. That was hilarious. So we spent 15 minutes cleaning out the toaster, his air fryer, things like that. I'm like, do you ever clean this air fryer? So I'm like, we're not taking the dirt and the grossness from this apartment to your next apartment. So worked on cleaning stuff. And then, man, when your kids are in an apartment, like make sure they clean their faucets where the water comes out, because I think I like just underneath the kitchen faucet, I kind of was scrubbing underneath it and all this black stuff is coming out. And I'm like, son, this is where your water's been coming out of that you've been putting into your mouth. Like, oh, so anyway, hopefully he learned some stuff from that, but it was funny. And I thought, I'm biting my tongue on, because he did a great job getting organized with getting his own moving truck, and he's paying for all that, and he got boxes and he got tape, and he really did a great job. This kid has come a long way, trust me. But when it comes to your kids and how they decide things, like how he picks out his apartments and how he decorates or how he does whatever, you just have to zip it up. And that is probably, like, if any of you have children out there, that's my big advice for you, is that I think especially if your kids, once they're financially independent, like it's no longer your job to tell them what to do or how to do things. So you got to strike that balance between offering support, but then respecting their autonomy, So I was thinking about this with my sons, because it is hard, because I look back on when my kids were, I remember my kids were going into high school, and I'm like, man, I can give you the playbook. This is how you play high school. Hindsight's 2020. We all know this now. Like, I wish I knew all the things now that I knew starting my freshman year, but I didn't, so you have to make all those mistakes yourselves, and your kids are no different. It's like, I have the playbook for you. This is what you need to do. Like, I would tell my daughter, if you say this, she's going to say that. If you don't do this, that person's going to do that. I'm like, this is nothing is surprising to me with all of the drama that goes on in high school. I've seen it all before. But when they're adults, you can't really give them a playbook. It's like you want to have a great relationship with your children. I think you got to strike that balance. So that comes with respecting their independence. I have to think to myself, like, okay, I did a good job. I know I did. Was I perfect? Absolutely not as a parent, but my husband and I feel like we did a really good job. And that I do think a lot of the things that we talked about or we educated them on or the way that we lived has, I see it in them, So, but you just have to acknowledge their ability to make decisions and take responsibility for their actions, which, oh my word, is hard. This thing, I think, too, offering support, but not solutions is critical. So instead of like just stepping in with unsolicited advice or solutions, just offering support and being available when they seek your input. Now, if you know me, like as soon as I see that one of my kids is calling, I will even drop a pickleball paddle to go talk to my kids on the phone. But like to just not give them all the answers, just to be a supportive person and not necessarily telling them exactly how I would do it. That's definitely tough. And I would start, if you're someone that still has a kid in high school, man, if there's one thing I think I should have done better would to empower my kids back then to think critically and just because developing those problem solving skills is so key to success, and making good decisions as you're older. It's different, like if you're still offering financial support for your adult children, I definitely think it is a little bit different, but you got to set those boundaries. And I think you just have to communicate that with each other, like from the jump. So for instance, if they get out of college and you're like, I'm going to help you out for a few months. That's what my parents did. It's kind of the way that my husband and I did it, until they get on their feet, for sure, but just communicate that, I think, is the big one. And then really, you just got to get focused on your own, on your own life and your own interests. Like if you're an empty nester, I mean, now is the time to just start. You get to focus on you and be happy with that. You're important. Like, what do you want to do with your time? And get busy doing it. Do it while you can. I think pursuing activities that fulfill you are going to reduce that urge to become overly involved in your children's lives. So it's going to enrich your life, but it's going to really set a positive example of maintaining a balanced and independent lifestyle for your kids too. Obviously like active listening is really important. When your children are sharing their experiences or sharing challenges, like practice active listening, meaning that, you're not immediately offering advice or judgment. Show empathy and understanding. Let them talk before you interrupt and, let them verbalize. I always think my mom has always done a really good job of that. Like she's a really good listener with the 5 of us kids. And I think, because half the time that's all you want. You just want to vent about stuff. You don't have to come up with a solution for them unless they ask, of course, like, what would you do? But yeah, I think just being a really good listener. And then the fun part is just celebrating their achievements. I love that. I love that so much. But yeah. And if it's all tough for you, I mean, take a step back, just talk to your friends about it, talk to your mother about it, talk to your, you know, gosh, you could even talk to a therapist about it. I think this stage of life is so fun. And I love seeing the kind of adults my kids are becoming, and it's exciting. And the most fun thing for me with my kids moving and living in different parts of the country is that I'm learning so much. I'm going to cities I'd never been before. I'm going to, I'm learning about industries I really didn't know anything about before. So it's really fun. I think being open-minded, but again, that you don't have to have the solution, you just got to listen and then be supportive. That's my advice anyway, so far. I mean, I'm an empty nest newbie. So some of you guys are like, yeah, Jill, talk to us when you have grandkids. I'm sure that gets much more difficult. What else has been going on? Well, our Airbnb, that while we were down in Texas this last time, we had a sweet family for Memorial Day weekend staying at our lake house that we put on Airbnb. And oh my gosh, that we had the most horrible weather I felt so bad. You know, it's interesting doing this Airbnb situation, the short-term rental, I should say. I want the place to be perfect for our guests because that's how I want things when I go to rent, an Airbnb, a condo or a house or whatever. I don't want to go to an Airbnb and see like fingerprints on the windows and, you know, or in the refrigerator or whatever. Like I don't want crumbs. I want it to be like so clean. I want the towels to be fresh. I want the sheets to, be nice. I don't like bedding that's like dark with tons of patterns. Does that anybody else like that grosses me out so much? I want white, crisp, clean, white, like white bedding. And so as an Airbnb, as an owner, that is tough. It is tough. And I will make myself mad making sure. So I have an amazing cleaning team. This woman she does a fabulous job. But I still go there on the busy time and busy summer, especially. I go there through the week just to kind of make sure everything is because there's so easy to miss something like the wall on the staircase. Like I want to make sure that there's no smudges on the wall going down the staircase, that there's no fingerprints, that there's no smears or something weird, or that the light switches don't have gunk on them. All those things that you really don't think about, but if you felt it or you saw it, you'd be like, ew, I don't like that. So, oh my gosh. Anyway, that's a whole other side note. So while we were in Texas, though, terrible storms, literally had a tornado hit the lake, come over the lake while they were there. Of course, the sweet little families like huddled in the basement. We do have a basement. And we had a power line go down over the driveway. So they lost power that night. And these were the sweetest people ever, like ever. Now, I was in constant communication with them and trying to offer solutions about if they can't get their car out because of that down power line the next day. I had friends on deck that could, to get them by boat and, whatever. But they were so gracious. And I just saw today they gave me a 5-star review, which warmed my heart because my gosh, they could have. I mean, it's not our fault that the weather's bad, but I mean, that does kind of dampen your whole vibe of a Memorial Day weekend. But man, they were really gracious guests. So that was great. I'm glad I got through that. That's the second time in our 4 years we've owned this house that the power's gone out. We've had a guest there. And it's stressful because you feel bad. You want them, you think these people paid this money to come here this weekend. You want it to be an amazing 5-star experience. And so when things don't go perfectly, you feel bad. I feel guilty about it. But anyway, it all worked out. This past weekend, I was so touched because my boys went on a golf vacation together. So one's in Chicago, one's in Texas, and they went with 2 of their uncles and a couple of their cousins. And oh my gosh, it warmed my heart. I just think it is so sweet that they like want to be with each other. They travel to each other's cities to hang out, a couple times a year, and that they talk on the phone and that they're friends because they're only a year and a half apart. They're a year apart in school. They were, but they're a year and a half apart in age. And the fact that like knowing, I mean, they were so competitive when they were little. And I think that just goes, with boys. I mean, they're that way. And maybe even sisters are that way too. But being that close in age and you kind of have the same friend groups, that can be tough. But I am so happy that they are connected and that they're buddies. They had a great time. But I was thinking about this too. And one thing, if I reflect back on how I'm not taking all the credit for this, not for my husband and I, but I think he and I did an amazing job. I mean, obviously it's my boys and their personalities and they're just really good kids, but my husband and I, we really promoted teamwork. Like we called them Team Lewis all the time. Team Lewis, Team Lewis. And I mean, if I said it once, I said it 1,000 times that blood is thicker than water and that no one's ever going to have your back the way that your brother will, that your family will. Like it does not matter anywhere you go on the planet. No one is going to have your back like your siblings, your parents, your cousins, your family will. So, I think that stuck, so I feel pretty good about that. But yeah, we were always highlighting the value of collaboration, the importance of relying on each other's strengths, praising them when they did stuff together. So that was, I don't know, a little pat on my back there, but it's really cool to see when you watch these kids develop, when you gave birth to them, you watch them develop, you watch them together. I mean, I think I've talked about this before on the podcast. When they were young, I used to give one of them a compliment and the other one would get upset. And you're like, okay, calm down. Like that has nothing to do with you, like a compliment to him doesn't mean that you are, I'm saying something negative about you. One has nothing to do with the other. So I think they have figured all of that out for sure. But I also think just allowing them to see that, like, celebrating each child's individuality and knowing that valuing excellence in the family, we really made a point of doing that. And I don't know, I think it all really worked out for us and for them. So that kind of warmed our heart for sure. As for me, I am just going to be gearing up for a wild month of June. Lots of fun travel plans in June. So listen to this. So I'm going to Seattle early in June to watch my niece's dance recital. She's my goddaughter. And so I'm going to go out there for a couple of days to see that. And then I'm going straight to Wisconsin. And I've got a group of my college friends that we are getting together in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. I am so excited for this. Like I can't even tell you. I haven't seen some of these girls in probably 20 years. So I'm thrilled. And then we are going to, or I am going to Costa Rica for a work retreat later in the month. I mean, I've never been to Costa Rica. I cannot wait to do this and see the other coaches that I'm going with. And then I will be headed to St. Louis. I mean, St. Louis isn't like that big of a deal. It's only a couple hours from here, but that's going to be, I think, the last weekend in June. My husband's got a weekend work retreat type thing. And I'm going to be going with him to that, but it's always a good time. So yeah, June is going to be like, a lot of fun work things going on. In my work, my fitness and nutrition coaching, we have been doing a lot of these like mini challenges, so normally my program is 6 weeks long but we have been offering some 5-day challenges, and we're doing the Summer Slim Down in June, which is going to be a great event. These 5-day challenges, I mean, I used to feel a little bit, I don't know, kind of weird about it because I thought it's really the opposite of what I promote. I promote long-term solutions, not quick fixes. But what I have found with these 5-day challenges, it's such a great way. If you've never tried the faster way, it's such an amazing way to kind of see what it's all about. It's like in a fast and furious way. So in my 6-week program, I like to kind of slowly drip it out where it's a much more manageable thing for you. And it's not as fast and furious. Whereas in the 5-day challenge, you're going to get a lot of information. So if you have that time that week to just get really fast wins, I think it's really good if you're somebody that just feels bloated and you feel sluggish and low energy. This is definitely a challenge for you. It's 5 days. And you're going to gain a lot of knowledge in that 5 days. And then if you want to then go right into my 6-week round, there's always like a discount for you to do that. So I will link that up in the show notes because I do think it's a really cool way to see what's going on in the faster way. What's this all about? And what's my coaching style like? And yeah. So anyway, I'll put that up there. But also another thing I'll put out there, speaking of all this travel, is I have a free travel guide, kind of how to stay on track while you're traveling, like what I get when I'm eating and some travel workouts, things like that. So I will definitely link that up too. For the rest of it, it is just me playing in my, Thursday mornings, I've been playing in a round robin, a pickleball round robin. That's a blast. And then on Wednesday nights, I've been playing in my women's league for golf. And then Tuesday mornings, I've been going to a deep stretching class. It's an hour-long, amazing deep stretching class at Aspire Yoga Studio in my little town of Marion. And I have to say, it's an incredible class. If you have the time to devote an hour to stretching, oh my gosh. It is like For me, it feels like a day at the spa. It's so relaxing and I need to stretch so much. I used to teach the yoga style classes and I just don't do that anymore. And so I need this for sure. And it just it's such a great time to just slow down and kind of recenter. And just every Tuesday morning to 8:30, and it's a full hour. So amazing. I love that. But that's at Aspire, Aspire in Marion, Illinois. Love it. But if you have one local to you, I would definitely check that out. Um, Gosh. Oh, and it's in a heated room. It's not like crazy hot. I would say it's in the 90s in the room. So it feels really good. Yeah, I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. That's my update on what's been going on with me. I hope everything's going well with you, and I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye. Ladies, protein deficiency is a huge problem, but it doesn't have to be. 1 in 3 adults don't consume enough protein, and it's no surprise when you understand how much you actually need in a single day. If you want to build muscle, lose fat, keep your immune system strong, and have all-day energy, then you should be eating at least 0.75 grams per pound of body weight. So, for example, if you weigh 150 pounds, that means you need almost 115 grams of protein every single day. For reference, 1 egg has just 6 grams of protein. So you'd need to eat almost 20 eggs to get 115 grams of protein. And if you're a senior, you need up to 50% more than that. That's because as we age, our bodies require more protein to preserve muscle mass, keep us healthy, reduce recovery time from illness, and improve overall quality of life. Clearly, getting enough protein is incredibly important. But how in the world do you hit that target protein count without spending a fortune or endless hours in the kitchen? Getting enough might seem impossible, but it's actually easy when you add Prime Protein's doctor-formulated, super clean, super smooth, incredibly easy to digest beef isolate protein powder to your diet. 1 scoop has 21 grams of protein, and with only a small handful of ingredients, you're getting only what you need. 100% carefully sourced real food, nothing else. No additives, no allergens, chemicals, fillers, or other junk ever. Plus, Prime Protein is incredibly delicious. I think it tastes like dessert, so you even have fun hitting your macros. Okay, if you are interested in getting more protein into your diet, head to today's show notes and I will give you a special link that can get you 15% off your first order of Prime Protein.